All right, today we're going to be doing systems of equations. These are linear problems, but it's specifically age word problems. Right now we're going to read this sentence, and I'll probably mispronounce this person's name, but Ben is 4 times as old as Ishan, and is also 6 years older than Ishan. Okay? So right now, I'm going to use the letter B for Ben and the I for Ishan. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to write Ben is 4 times as old as Ishan. That's the first sentence right here. That's the first algebraic equation that I'm writing. The second one I'm going to write is, he is also 6 years older than him. So the next part that I'm writing is the also part. So Ben is also 6 years older than him. So this is the first equation. This is the second equation. Now, I'm going to solve this by hand, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use Desmos and show you how to use technology to help you solve it. But you have to know how to write things down first. So here we go. I want to know how old Ishan is. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set 4I equal to 6 plus I. So I'm setting this equation equal to this equation. 4I is equal to 6 plus I meaning Ishan's age. Then we're just going to solve for I. So all we're going to do is take away an I from this side. Take away an I from this side. All right? If you had 4 I's, but you took away 1, there you go. Equals 6. And then we divide both sides by 3. And Ishan's age would equal just 2 years old. Now that's going to be what I'm going to be typing in right here. That's what I'm going to type in. However, let me show you how to use Desmos to solve this for you in case you need to check your answer. Well, we have to do things in terms of y and x. So watch what I'm going to write. Instead of b equals, I'm going to write down y equals. Instead of 4I, I'm going to write 4x. Instead of b equals, I'm going to write y equals. Instead of 6 plus I, I'm going to write 6 plus x. And then what am I going to type into Desmos? Y equals 4x and y equals 6 plus x. Here we go. I'm going to type it in. Y equals 4x and y equals 6 plus x. Where do they cross? Hold on, let me type this real quick. Delete that, put in x there. There you go. Now, I'm going to hit home right here so you guys can see a little bit better. Right here, I'm going to click on my lines. What does it say? A 2 and an 8. So what are our coordinates? A 2 and an 8. That represents x. That represents y. Who represents x? Ishan represents x. Who represents y? Ben. Okay? So my answer right here that I'm going to write right here is going to be 2. All right, let me type that in real quick. All right, there we go. All right, so here we go. Here's our next problem. Go ahead and write that down if you would, please. All right, here we go. Second problem says, Kevin is 3 years older than Daniel. 2 years ago, Kevin was 4 times as old as Daniel. So I'm going to separate this into 2 equations. I'm going to translate this sentence into an algebraic equation. And then I'm going to translate this sentence into an algebraic equation. Okay? First thing I'm going to identify is K is going to be Kevin and D is going to be Daniel. Okay? So it says Kevin is 3 years older than Daniel. So here's my first equation. Kevin is. By the way, every time you see is right here, what am I translating that to? An equal sign. There we go. So Kevin is 3 years older than Daniel. Now, let's think about this. 2 years ago. Okay? 2 years ago means we are going backwards, right? So what was Kevin's age? We don't know, but 2 years ago it's going to be K minus 2. Right here it says Kevin was 4 times as old as Daniel. So 4 times as old as Daniel. Here's the trick. Daniel, 2 years ago, is going to be D minus 2. So we have to put D minus 2 in the parentheses. All right, so here we go. What we're going to do first, all right, is we are going to solve this by hand. Then we're going to use Desmos to check. Okay? Now, the thing I want you guys to remember is this. Watch. Anytime you see something years ago, that's what you're going to have to do. If I said it was 5 years ago, then it would be K minus 5 and D minus 5. If it was 10 years ago, then it would be what? K minus 10 and D minus 10. Okay, so that's going to be important when you're setting this up.
All right, which is the D minus 2?
D minus 2 is the 2 years ago. Okay, so 2 years ago, whatever Daniel's age was 2 years ago, it's going to be whatever his age is now minus 2. If he was 12, he would be 10, and so on and so forth. There we go. This side is equal to what? 3 plus D. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set it equal to this equation. Now this equation, in order for me to do this, I have to add 2 to this side, and I have to add 2 to this side for this to solve for. Okay, so over here, watch what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to do 4 parentheses, D minus 2. What did I have to add to both sides? I had to add an additional 2 to solve for K. Then I distribute. Here's what you're left with. 3 plus D equals 4 times D minus 8, because 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, plus 2. We combine our like terms right here, and we get 4D minus 6 equals 3 plus D. Then we take away D from this side, take away D from this side, that zeroes out. We add a 6 to this side, and we add a 6 to this side. And our final, right here, this becomes a 3D equals 9. And after we divide both sides by 3, we get D equals 3, which means Daniel is equal to 3 years old. All right, let's go back and let's kind of check right now, okay? Right now, we're saying Daniel's age is 3. So let's just make a little table here. We're going to make Daniel and then a Kevin table, okay? So right now, Daniel is 3, which means what? Kevin is 6, okay? So right here, if I plug it in, if Daniel's 3, what is Kevin? 3 plus 3, which is 6. Now let's go back in time. Let's go back to 2 years ago. 2 years ago. How old was Daniel 2 years ago?
1.
All right. How old was Kevin 2 years ago? 4. Right now, what's the relationship between Kevin and Daniel? Would you agree? He was what? 4 times as old as Daniel. But now he's not 4 times as old. He's actually only what? 2 times as old, but he is what? 3 years older. So right now he's 3 years old. So how old is Daniel now? He's 3. Okay? Now how can I do this right here? How can I do this? Oh, not that. Wrong. Okay, let me change it to a rectangle. There we go. How can I do this in Desmos? Let me explain to you how we're going to do it in Desmos. We're going to switch everything in terms of what? Y and X. So watch how I switch the blue equation in terms of Y and X. Instead of K equals, I'm going to write Y equals. Instead of 3 plus D, I'm going to write 3 plus X. Instead of K minus 2, I'm going to write Y minus 2. I'm still going to put a 4 of parentheses, but instead of D minus 2, I'm going to put X minus 2. This is how you write the equations in terms of Y and X. So write those down, please. So we're going to type these both equations into Desmos. Here's the cool thing. Check this out. The first one's easy. We just type in 3 plus x. If you haven't written them down, you can still, there's the first equation. Okay? Now watch what I do with the second equation. Here's the cool thing. I can actually type in what? Y minus 2 and set it equal to 4 parentheses, is it x minus 2? Right there. So Desmos will graph it even if you didn't solve for y. Desmos will graph it. All you have to do is create what? Two equations that match the statements. What was our answer? A 3 and a 6. Okay. Cool. Here we go. Go ahead and type that in right here. We're going to type in A3. All right, here we go. Write the next sentence down and the question. Write down the sentence and the question. All right, here we go. Kevin is 39, okay? And Daniel is 39 and 3. What is 39 divided by 3? You know what 39 divided by 3 is? Yeah, 13. So right now, how many times older is Kevin than Daniel? He's not 4 times, he's what? 13 times older. So we gotta reduce that to what? 4 times. Okay? So how many years will it take? So right now, where's Kevin at? Kevin's at 39. We have to figure out how long, like how many years. What is x going to represent? X represents how many years we're going to add. Before, he's only going to be, or this side is only going to be 4 times Daniel's age. So right now, we're going to put 4 times x, but what is Daniel's age right now? Daniel's age is 3. So this side right here needs to be only 4 times this side. Okay, so this side right here has to be 4 times this. So this side has to be 4 times this side. Let's go ahead and distribute. Okay, we get 4x plus 12 equals 39 plus x. Now all we're going to do is take away an x from this side, take away an x from this side. So that zeroes out. We're left with 3x. Take away a 12 from this side. Take away a 12 from this side. We subtract. That gets us 27 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3. And x equals 9. Well, let's see if that works. Let's see if that works. If we add 9 years to good old Kevin, we add 9 years. If he is at 39 and we add 9 years, what's he now? Is that 48? If we take old Daniel, sorry, young Daniel, he's at a 3. We add 9 years, what's he at now? He's at a 12. What is 48 divided by 12? 4, you're right, 4. So now guess what? In 9 years, he will not be 13 times as old. In 9 years, he'll only be what? 4 times as old. Well, how in the world could I solve this using Desmos? Here's what you have to do if you were to use Desmos, okay? You'd have to write y equals 39 plus x, and then you'd have to write y equals 4 parentheses x plus 3. Those would be the 2 equations that you would have to write into Desmos in order to type them in to see where the 2 lines intersected. All right, here we go. We say how many? It only took what, 9 years for it to go from 13 times to just 4 times. One more. Okay. Last one. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to highlight 2 parts of this word problem. It says Christopher is 20 years younger than Isha. So I'm going to put C for Christopher and I for Isha. So here's my first equation. Christopher is 20 years younger. So whatever Ishan is, what are we going to do? We're going to take away how many years? We're going to take away 20. That's going to be a very important part of writing. You've got to know how to write it correctly. 20 years younger, you're taking away 20 from Ishan's age. Like I said, I'm probably mispronouncing it. My apologies to Ishan. For Ishan. Okay? Maybe it's Ishane. I don't know. Alright? But I'm sure he's correct. So here we go. Here's the next one. Ishan and Christopher first met 2 years ago. Guess what? That means nothing. But here's the next part. 14 years ago, Ishan was 3 times as old as Christopher. What's the tricky part? The old 14 years ago. So let's think about this. Ready? Let's think about Christopher. 14 years ago, it's going to be what? Christopher's age minus 14. Over here, Ishan. 14 years ago, what's it going to be? Ishan minus 14. So does everybody understand? 14 years ago, that's what their ages are going to be. 14 years ago. Now it says Ishan was 3 times as old as Christopher. So Ishan was 3 times as old as, so whatever this is, he's going to be 3 times it. Okay? So this time, actually what we're going to do is I'm not going to solve it by hand because I've already solved one by hand. Alright? But what are we going to do? We're going to change that in terms of y and x, and we're going to write this in terms of y and x. Okay? So here we go. First one, I'm going to put y equals x minus 20. Automatically, who have I equated with y and who have I equated with x? Who is y? Christopher. Very good. Good, Chris. And who is x? Sean. That's probably a better pronunciation. Sean. Now, over here, watch. I'm going to put 3. I'm going to open up a parentheses. What have I replaced with C? What have I replaced with? See right here? So we have to keep it going. That's why I'm labeling stuff. We got to keep it going. So C is my y. And what am I plugging in for I? I'm plugging in x. So this is my equation. So there's my one equation I'm going to type into Desmos. Here's my other equation I'm typing into Desmos. So please write those 2 down. All right, let's go ahead and go to Desmos. Hit y equals, I'm going to go over here and put x minus 20. And right here, I'm going to delete that. Go back and take a look at what I said. 3 parentheses. Is it y minus 14? Like that. Equals x minus 14. I believe. Let me look, just to make sure. Alright, because Ishan right here, 14 years ago, was 3 times as old as Christopher was. Alright? So now we're going to go back to Desmos. We're going to zoom out. We're going to see where the 2 lines meet. Alright, so we just found our answer in terms of x and in terms of y. Alright, so I'm going to make a little table here. Make a little table, and we're going to check our answer to see if it makes sense. I got a 44, and I got a 24. Who represented x? Who did we say represented x? Oh. Sean was x, Chris was y. So here we go. Ready? I'm going to put Chris was y, Sean was x. Okay? Now, right now, what's our first situation? Our first situation is, hold on, let me go back. It says Christopher is what? 20 years younger. Let's see if that works. Is Christopher 20 years younger right now? That works, right? Now let's take away 14. Ready? Let's just take away 14 years. And let's take away 14 years. If I take away 14 years, he's down to what? 10. If I take away 14 years, what's he down to? 30. Is Ishan 3 times as old, or Ishan 3 times as old as Christopher? He was. He was 14 years ago. He was 3 times older than him. Okay? Now the question is asking what? What is the question asking us? It's saying, how old is Ishan now? So how do we know that? What is he now? He's a total of what? 44. So what am I going to type in right there? I'm going to type in a 44. Okay, so right here I'm going to type in 44. Hopefully by making that table, it made more sense. Like how you can check it, okay? So check your answers. This person is what? 20 years younger. 14 years ago, Ishan was 3 times as old as Christopher. And that's how you check your answers.